So before we crack on with the fluid change, so this is the air run I was talking about. I don't know if you can see, cracked and only held on very badly. So if we have a look at the inside of this, the plastic's broken here on the front. It's already had a repair on the back, so we can just maybe put a plate in. But what we first of all need to do is get those screws out, and I've got a feeling that's where we're going to fall flat out first. It's not looking like those screws have been out in a very long time. So, oh, that's encouraging. Oh, that's bloody brilliant. So, there's lots of different ways you could repair this. And there's nothing wrong with the let's shove a bit of araldite in. That's good. I can understand why people do it. I've done it myself. But one thing about things like araldite is, I don't know, you won't be able to see very clearly, but that's just been stuck straight onto the plastic. There's been no preparation to that plastic. So what you'd need to do is key the surface with some abrasive paper, wet or dry or whatever you've got, degrease it and clean it properly. But by the looks, it's cracked all the way around this fitting, and there's absolutely nothing there to support that crack. Just a little bit of araldite here. And again, you know, we've got major crack there and nothing to support it. Right guys, one of the other jobs that we need to do that you haven't seen anything about as such is the fairing repair. So this side's obviously had some crash damage. You can see that by the fantastic repair somebody's done there previously. So because my camera ran out of charge yesterday, there's some bits you missed. I very carefully glued the missing piece of the fairing back in, hot stapled in many areas to give it strength. There's also a small repair down here. There's been some previous repair work in this area and this area. That's all glued up. I can't do anything about it. It looks pretty rough on this side. And around this, the front here, where the cracking is. But this section's back in. Now this is where the aerofoil goes. And I'm not too worried about this side yet. We've got to take that down, file that down when we refit this. What I've also done, you might not be able to see, is in here, new nut as an insert and a couple of hot wires just to keep this plastic, it's split right down the centre, so it just keeps it from splaying. So what I want to do today, besides file that down and prep that, you know, 20-year-old bike, going to live with some of these battle scars, but I want to reinforce this area here around this screw hole and around this screw hole from the back end. Now these slots, not really important, probably cut out to save some weight or some of that crazy stuff. So the idea is I will mix up some resin, glass fibre type resin, and paint that in these areas, let it soak in a little bit. And then in this area and this area, I'm going to lay some of this glass fibre mesh on top. Now, can I say, these are all products of the same company. Nobody sponsors me. I don't particularly like the idea unless it's going to be for stuff that's really useful. This is just what I could get from the local shop. It is a reputable brand. I am expecting good quality out of it, but there are lots of others who will give equally as good quality. So please don't think I'm plugging any product here. It's just a good quality product. And as you know, I'm very keen on not wasting my money buying cheap shit that's going to fail. The other thing you didn't see me do yesterday is I have thoroughly keyed any areas I'm going to put the resin and glass fibre on. So I've gone over them with a heavy grit sandpaper and I've degreased them to the best of my ability using just standard brake cleaner. So we're pretty much ready. First warning, glass fibre, particularly nasty stuff actually. People underestimate it. You handle it with your bare hands, you're going to get lots of those little glass shards in you and they irritate like hell. And if you've got fairly tough skin because you're a fairly active person, they will pierce it and then they're even harder to get out. Why bother? Pair of cheap gloves. The other thing is when you mix the two chemicals together, the resin and hardener, they can produce a great deal of heat, okay? Enough that if you are unlucky, they can actually spontaneously combust, or they can make other items combust. So you don't want to mix that up on a bit of cardboard. I'm using an aluminium tray. I would like to thank Brian and Jan. These are actually old dentist trays that they no longer use, but they're good. Actually, they're not, they might be, but they're really good. They're handy, they're shallow. I can mix my stuff up in there rather than try and mess about in a cup, and then I can just paint it onto the surface. Cheap buy and bulk paintbrush. Probably going to leave hairs everywhere, but who cares? And if you want anything more, another really good pro tip, lollipop sticks. You can buy a pack of these, 200 whatever, for not a lot of money. Really good for stirring stuff up, applying things, holding things in place. And then obviously they're not plastic. You can not feel too bad about disposal of those because they will eventually break down. Mind you, probably not with resin on them. So let's get started. Now I think this is 10 millilitres to pea size. Yeah. I haven't got any cheap measuring jugs, which is a real shame. Before I start. But what I do have are loads and loads of these old syringes, which are bloody brilliant. Go away, fly. So 10 millimetres again, so what we will do. Block of wood. I don't think that's going to be to a pea size somehow. I think that's going to be more like a 5mm ball. So you usually snap the top off. So the first thing is just to paint this in. And what that's going to do is that's going to hopefully penetrate into those cracks. And obviously in hindsight, like many things, perhaps I should have cut some of the glass fibre first. But you do get a reasonable small amount of free time with this stuff. Just coat that one. But if it hardens, I'll just make some more. I don't care. Because I'm a clumsy sod. Top on. It's not the scissors, Nige, it's me. Cack-handed. Well, maybe I looked at the scissors. So that's a little bit of tissue. Let's try and find an open edge. Now, I'm not going to go crazy with this stuff. It's only there to act as reinforcement. Okay, so something like that. And then lovely. So yeah, I bought about 16 square metres of this stuff, slight exaggeration obviously, and really I just need some very small pieces. Now I can feel this resin starting to get tacky on my gloves, so I'm fully expecting. You can get happening here. Sometimes the resin will start to float. Sorry, the glass fibre mat will float on the resin. And of course we want to make sure that's as covered as possible. Right, I'm happy to let that start to dry and then poke it down a bit more. Right guys, well, welcome back. Next day sort of thing, and there's our fairing. All of the resin's gone off nicely. It's all shiny and smooth and lovely. Ouch. And the glass fibre sheeting we've put in is absolutely solid as a rock. So that's the good news. Slightly bad news is, when we look at the other side where the resin's dripped through, etc., we've got some high spots. So what we're going to do is take the sander and flat all this down to the original line. and then we can get that aerofoil on, because right now I think that will, yeah, suffer a bit. And I think the tool for the job will be the multi-tool, and then we'll just very gently work on that. So yeah, let's get cracking. So just to start off, we're going to try some 120 grit paper. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. That's the first one. Now this is the one, I believe, if I remember rightly, with our new insert. So I'm not sure what sort of screw length I'll need for this. Okay, that's starting to tighten up. What I don't want to do is bottom the screw out and start to pull the insert out. Well, give me a second and I shall show you the finished article, and hopefully you will agree with me. So it's now secure. Obviously you can still see a little bit of damage around there. That could all be filled, touched up. Might not actually bother, but that is absolutely rock solid. And if we have a look from above, a little bit of a gap there where the brake is, which again could just have a smear of filler, but more to the point, it's not rattling around making things any looser. Right guys, well, welcome back. Next day sort of thing, and there's our fairing. All of the resin's gone off nicely. It's all shiny and smooth and lovely. Ouch. And the glass fibre sheeting we've put in is absolutely solid as a rock. So that's the good news. Slightly bad news is, when we look at the other side, where the resin's dripped through, etc., we've got some high spots. So what we're going to do is take the sander and flat all this down to the original line, and then we can get that aerofoil on, because right now I think that will, yeah, suffer a bit. And I think the tool for the job will be the multi-tool, and then we'll just very gently work on that. So yeah, let's get cracking. So just to start off, we're going to try some 120 grit paper. Let's see how that goes. I think that's pretty good. Just take a little bit of that finer stuff and clean that edge up. I think it's time to check out the holes and remount this. Once again, multi-tool made a big difference. It makes life so much easier. So we're very, very carefully going to drill this out. I'll start off with a 5mm drill. Then we'll go up to a 5.5. Bear in mind that we're putting a 5mm bolt through this. Now, I think we just find a couple of bolts, job done. Okay, I've found some screws. I'm going to go with standard cross-cut head pattern. And we'll use a little bit of copper anti-seize. So I'm going to put back cross-cut screws, hoping these are Japanese standard, a couple of washers, and we're going to use a little bit of anti-seize in there just to make sure that this lot can come apart again. That's the first one. Now this is the one, I believe, if I remember rightly, with our new insert. So I'm not sure what sort of screw length I'll need for this. Okay, that's starting to tighten up. What I don't want to do is bottom the screw out and start to pull the insert out. Well, give me a second and I shall show you the finished article, and hopefully you will agree with me. So it's now secure. Obviously you can still see a little bit of damage around there. That could all be filled, touched up. Might not actually bother, but that is absolutely rock solid. And if we have a look from above, a little bit of a gap there where the brake is, which again could just have a smear of filler. But more to the point, it's not rattling around anymore. It's not going to fall off and get lost. It's quite a strong repair, and I can still undo it and remove it if I decide to go the full hog and have the bodywork done. I'm really happy with that. I call that a win-win. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.